I'm smiling because I have a very good friend with me here, Jimmy Lyons. We go back to school days. We then, through diving and swimming, and there we were divers together, Jimmy.
We were indeed, yeah.
You stuck it longer than I did. I dropped off along the road, but you're still diving at 70.
How long ago was that, Rowan?
I stopped diving. The last diving I did was as a commercial diver in Carlingford Marina, putting down the chains and checking for the shackles.
Yeah.
Now they were buried in the mud.
Oh,
so I've never. Have you ever dived in mud, Jimmy? Of course you have.
Loads of times.
So you're down in the mud, your feet's up in the air, and you're breathing into the mud.
Sludge.
Sludge. There you are. To make sure that check the shackles on the big chains, and then rewrap them with copper wire. That's the thing. God knows. But we're talking about diving, and we're talking about things that occur. More than once, we were invited to the canal, sometimes to do necessary but very, very difficult jobs for families.
Oh, yeah.
I think we never really found it that difficult to do because we felt we were returning a missing person, the remains of someone to a family that was waiting.
Yeah.
And difficult wasn't for us. We just did it.
There was, I wouldn't call it difficulty. It was sort of overcoming your own sort of fear of the dark water because you couldn't see anything down there.
Yeah, you're about a metre,
and
less than a metre.
Even at some occasion, if you had to backtrack over,
you would see nothing.
You would see nothing
because you'd have finned up
the silt.
Yeah. Did you ever get yourself into a wreck? Because we were wreck diving as well.
Oh,
the business of going into a wreck.
There's always that.
You're kicking up the silt as well, and if you didn't have a lead cord with you to guide you back out again,
well,
did that ever occur?
Oh, it did indeed. Yeah, I remember one incident. We were diving an old wreck called it was the Clementina.
Yes,
and it was very shallow now compared to the diving we do nowadays. But
she would have been 60 feet or something, would she?
Around that, yeah, up in Red Bay.
Yeah,
up in the Antrim coast, and I was swimming inside the wreck, and it's a small wee torch, very dim sort of wee torch.
Yes.
And I came into this sort of steel box of a room, and I was shining my torch around, and just I had my head over the threshold of the doorway.
Yes.
And I come right round. I could only see maybe 2 feet in front of me, and sitting right beside me here, and with the tunnel vision of the mask.
Yeah.
Was a boot.
A boot?
A boot. And I got a shock of my life. I thought this image in my mind came, there was somebody standing behind the door waiting to, but it was only a Wellington boot.
Wellington boot floating there.
But that was you get funny things, you laugh about them afterwards.
Absolutely. I have a kind of it's a dream that I have, a recurring dream. I don't know where the wreck was. Having gone onto a wreck and swimming onto the water, swimming into the bridge area, and all of the bits and pieces of paraphernalia of the bridge, and the documentation lying there, and this, that, and the other, all still there. And I can't for the life of me think of where it was.
It's a capture in time of the incident that happened, the wreck of the ship or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe at an angle, it's quite...
Absolutely. We dived, we dived Inishtrahull.
Oh, yeah.
And the Topaz. Was she the
Topaz? 1883.
1883. She took grain. Wasn't she a grain ship?
I think she was, yeah.
Yeah, because...
No, you have the name wrong.
What? No, she's not the Topaz. The Topaz was in Dundalk Bay.
It was the Iris.
The Iris. It was the Iris Gully.
That's
We
correct.
dived in between the big island and the small island.
That's correct.
And then at the big island, we made our way across to the graveyard.
We did, yeah.
And there are all the wee stories on the gravestones.
That's correct.
John William died aged 3, weather too bad for the doctor to get out. That was amazing, that was those days.
I remember a story too of us trying to get in contact with the lighthouse keepers on the island.
Yes.
And we want to make a phone call.
Is this Dobeg too?
Yeah.
Tell him about Dobeg too.
Dobeg too.
God, tell him that.
And we went up to an old chap called Barney Grant. And Barney...
He was the Lloyd's agent.
He was the agent, yeah.
And the grocer as well.
The grocer, and he said, yes, we will. You talk like this, yes. We will ring up. And he went to this, and and he lifted the receiver, and he asked the receptionist on the other end to get him "Too big too," and she was trying to. We could hear it. She was trying to explain that is it "Too big double one" you want? no, it's "Too big too," and he kept arguing with her. It was "Too big double one," you know.
What was it? Were you with us the day? Remember we took gunmetal. The prop. You were with us. You were there with Pat Hand and myself in Dundalk Bay, and the dive was on the towpath. She was carrying railway lines tracks from England.
Yes.
And you and Pat were searching for whatever you could get. But Collins, the diver, he had just left, and they had blown the wreck.
Oh, yes.
You remember?
Right. That's
and
correct,
then eventually he had to leave, and when he left, we went down.
And
I was looking at the pair of you, and my whole interest changed from what I could find on the bottom. It was like sort of gold fever took over in the pair of you. You were going in looking around what was there.
Glass pipes
and there was
stuff
big,
like that,
there was big conger eels there.
Eels.
Some of them dead.
I think they're all stunned or dead.
Stunned or dead, lying there in the thing.
With the explosion that the other diver had set off, yeah.
You know, it's not at all unnatural that you should still be diving at 70, because it's in you, and you couldn't have been anything else.
If you keep doing something,
yeah,
your body gets accustomed to the different muscle things that you need to do, and if you keep doing that all your life, which I have done, it doesn't become a problem.
No,
you know, you can still do it quite a long time.
Ah, yeah, why wouldn't you? Now, you had a recent adventure on the Newry Canal.
Oh, yes, yeah. I was contacted by it was a local lorry driver here who had the job of removing, or he was involved in the removal of, they were searching for a car that had entered the canal down on the Fadham line, down about halfway between Newry here and the
tanks.
And the Victoria. Well, at the tanks.
At the tanks,
the
old
tanks, oil tanks that used to be there.
Yes.
And I don't think I was the first diver that they contacted, but some of our lads were working in England and couldn't do it, and eventually they made their way to me. So I says, yeah, sure, we'll do it. Haven't done it before.
Yeah, of course.
And we knew the procedure, so I said yes. And like any sort of diving operation like that, you don't know the snags down there, what you're going to happen. So to be safe, I always like 3 of us.
Yeah.
One on the bank as a banksman.
Yeah.
Preferably a diver who knows what the difficulties divers can, and he's totally focused on the 2 men in the water.
Yeah.
And 2 divers in the water.
And any rope contact
One
with him?
to support the other. Yes, there was, yeah.
Yeah.
And there was rope signals given.
Yes.
You know, continuous tugs like that there is like an emergency.
Yeah, come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he also has diving kit there. He could be a 3rd diver, emergency diver to go into the water if necessary.
Yeah.
Anyway, we devised this, what we would call a rope search, sweep search. And virtually it's like the hands of a clock going round. So we drop a weighted line, a rope with a shot, a weight on
Piece
the bottom.
of weight, yeah.
In the best guess spot that someone who has seen the car sinking, or the best shot that we can do in the spot. It's never there, like it's always somewhere different because of the slight current in the canal.
Yes, yeah.
Once it disappears under the water, it
Can be anywhere.
drifts a little bit. So when we go down to the bottom, we tie on, there's a vertical rope with a buoy on it just to mark the spot. And then 2 divers will go down and we'll secure a rope end and then we go round in a circle.
Yes.
We swim round. One diver might be 4 or 5 metres out, and the next diver maybe 6, 7, 8, 10 metres out, which was the case in this time.
Yeah, so you're covering
and
the
we do
whole
a
line.
sweep round, just like the hands of a clock, going round, and eventually we would snag something, because you can see nothing on the water down there. The visibility is maybe less than arm's length.
Yeah.
And the rope would snag into whatever obstacle would be there, and then you come in on it, and then we move this little weighted line over to it, and that gives us a direct line right down to it.
Jimmy, it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy because, well, you've disorientation, the blackness, the mud is in suspension. It's very difficult.
In this case, there was a sort of slight difficulty that happened with me there. There was a lot of fishing line.
Wow.
Seemed to be snagged on this thing. And I got tangled up in it. And it's quite strong.
Oh, yeah.
It'll hold
yeah.
you quite.
Absolutely.
But Jerry Brown, my dive partner there, he knew to hold the line sort of reasonably taut.
Yeah, so
as
you
I
could
could
cut it.
disconnect and cut it with my
Yeah, with your knife.
away from
Yeah.
where I was, you know. So that was just a small thing that happened.
But it bears witness
But if
to
you're there on your own,
no
you
good,
could
yeah.
even entangle yourself even more into it.
But
you
the
know.
buddy system forever.
Buddy system works very
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
And we discovered that it was supposed to be a little bright yellow car
Yes.
that we were looking for.
Yes.
And we came across this dust-covered thing. We didn't even know what colour it was, but we knew it wasn't a car, much bigger than a car. So I went to the driver's door, and the driver's window was down. I got our little weighted line, and I dropped it just inside on the driver's seat, just to mark the spot exactly where we are. Then the sweep line we took to the surface, and it was long enough to reach the bank. It was about 20, 30 metres of rope, so it reached the surface, and that'll give us a direct line down to it. And we explained to the guy there, a couple of men there, that it wasn't the vehicle that they were expecting. It was another one that nobody knew about. So we didn't know whether it was a crime scene, or what it was, anything about it. So one of the guys there decided maybe it was time to ring the police to let them know that we had discovered this thing.
Yes.
Totally accidentally discovered it in the search for the other car that we didn't know was there. So I went down and I got these big lifting slings, and we fed them through the two windows and back onto the hook.
The hook of the crane.
And the guy lifted it out, and it turned out to be a red transit van.
Wow.
So we didn't know the make or number or anything, because it was well buried in the mud. It was at least 30 inches down into the mud.
Yeah. Would it have been there a long time?
It seemed to be when the police arrived, they identified the number as a van that I think was stolen, and it was there since 2006.
My goodness.
So
there you are.
then we decided to go back into the water after this thing was lifted out.
Yes.
It was sitting on the bank there, and we decided to go back in and search for the yellow car.
But you would have been going down into soup at that stage.
Oh yeah, it was all total blackness. So we repeated this operation again, and eventually we came across, not long afterwards, we've done a complete nearly 180-degree semicircle.
Yes.
And we snagged the little yellow car.
Well done.
So
Job well done, I tell you.
It went like textbook right now, apart from the bit with the fishing line, but the rest of it was.
But it's a powerful Newry Sub-Aqua Club now that started very simply with the St Anthony's Diving Club with Pat Hand in Mary Street.
Time ago,
a long time ago.
45 years ago.
45 years, certainly 45 years ago. Jimmy, that's a great story, and I want to thank you, as I wish you a very, very happy Christmas to you and your dear family. You know, it's interesting, you were telling me there you'll be taking your great-grandchild tomorrow up to the Abbey on Courtney Hill, where you and I both went.
This morning's his last day.
His last day. But here's the great-grandfather taking the great-grandchild up the hill that he walked as a child himself all those years ago. And we were both there together.
We were indeed, yeah.
Brother Lynch.
Brother Lynch,
The films on the Wednesday afternoon in the Assembly Hall.
Lovely man.
Lovely man. He did the garden. He was the gardener
correct,
there. He was indeed. He was
Brother
indeed.
Lynch, little baldy man.
Little baldy man. Where does good go when good dies? That's the big question.
No idea.
No idea. But
a lot of people do have ideas, but I wouldn't.
But sure.
I wouldn't be definitely certain about anything.
No, but we give it our best shot.
We do.
Happy Christmas. That's Jimmy Lyons of the Newry Sub-Aqua Club, man of Newry. His father was a diver as well. Lyons the diver. We often call him Paddy Cousteau, and that's good fun.
No, Paddy Caustic.
Caustic, yeah, Caustic. I stick with Cousteau. Go well. Take care.
Destination Newry.